So I just saw Sound of Metal, which is a brand new film on Amazon Prime and stars Riz Ahmed as Ruben Stone and Olivia Cooke as a girl named Lou. We never find out her last name. They're basically a two-person band that goes around the country touring, and they do little gigs here and there. They're also a couple. And it also stars another guy named Paul Raci, and we'll talk about Paul, who plays Joe, so I'm going to refer to him as Joe, later in the film. And basically, this is a journey. Now, how I became aware of this film is interesting. Because of the pandemic, I am looking for ways to get new movie reviews out to my channel. And I visited Rotten Tomatoes the other day to see what was up and coming, what might be coming to theaters. And I came across this film, Sound of Metal. Never heard of it, but it had the highest rating that I've seen this year on any film by both critics and the audience. So this intrigued me. And this film follows Ruben and Lou as Ruben is actually plagued with hearing loss. Comes on rather suddenly. This wasn't a gradual thing, but a couple days after a show, he just wakes up one morning and he's not able to hear real well. And we actually see this from his point of view. The experience that this film gives you is unlike anything I've seen. And I will tell you there are some Oscar-worthy performances in this film. Riz Ahmed as Ruben Stone will be up for Best Actor. I can tell you that come award season. Olivia Cooke playing Lou, she's almost unrecognizable. I know her from Bates Motel. She's got a very pretty face, and they must have put some makeup on her and some extra skin and some other things to make her forehead kind of pops out a little bit, and she's got bleached eyebrows. If you didn't know who she was, you wouldn't know that that was her. And we follow them as he starts to get sick. He starts to panic. She doesn't even know what's going on. He just one day is going to see the doctor, and she's sitting there in their RV that they use to travel around with. It's their home. And he ends up having to go see a doctor, and he finds out that 75% of his hearing is gone, and it's only going to get worse over the next week, which leads them on a journey. We get to see from his point of view what's happening to him every step along the way. And it was very interesting because when you would see the side view and the camera would follow him and we're following his journey, we would be hearing what he hears. And it was very eerie to go from being able to hear and then experiencing what he's experiencing. And then when the camera would pan out and would maybe show somebody come into the scene, we would hear it from the audience's point of view, what he's not able to hear. And it was very jarring at times as they went back and forth, but was so well crafted in the film. It was just an experience. It's all I can tell you. Is this movie's an experience from beginning to end. He can't deal with what's going on, and we find out that he's got a past where he was an addict, a heroin addict. So Olivia, Lou, keeping Ruben from relapsing, takes him to a deaf community. They've got schools in this community. Everybody's deaf, and they function as deaf people. Now, when Ruben first goes to the doctor, he finds out he's lost 75% of his hearing, that he can get some implants. And that's what he wants to do right off. He wants no part of this. And he found out that the surgery costs between $40,000 and $80,000, and insurance will not pay for it. So when he goes to this deaf community, they help people who are addicts and people who are deaf so that they can learn to live their lives, learn sign language, and learn how to live being deaf. Ruben lets Joe know when he's being admitted there that he really doesn't want any part of this. He also finds out that he can't be there with Lou. Lou has to leave. This is a very tight-knit, closed-off community. He can't have his phone to communicate with the outside world, can't have the keys to his RV. So Olivia goes back to live with her father in Paris while Ruben is at this place. Now, we never find out how much time really passed with Ruben at this community, but he becomes very much a part of this community. And at one point during the film, he ends up having to make a decision, a very difficult decision, and we get to see a little bit of his addict side come out. There's a wonderful scene in there where Joe is actually looking at Ruben saying, "You come across as an addict right in this moment." And he wasn't kidding. That's when you realize how brilliant the acting is in this film. I think Riz Ahmed is definitely going to be up for Best Actor, and I think Paul Raci will be up for Best Supporting Actor, without question. Olivia Cooke, she did a great job for her role, but it was much more minor compared to these other two individuals in the film. And I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end of the film, but here's my only complaint with this movie. There's definitely a message behind this film, and it's a profound message, and I think it's something everybody needs to experience. And it has to do with the grass not always being greener on the other side. And in the end, the way the film ends, it ends rather abruptly. And I can tell you that I wanted to know what's going to happen with these characters. And I don't think it's 100% needed, but with how this movie played out, I want to know what's going to happen to these individuals. We never find that out, and we won't. Because the message of the story is more important than the characters themselves. And in its message, it is complete. It is wrapped up into a nice bow at the very end of the film. And it requires that we don't have to find out what happens to these individuals. Little disappointing in that regard, and because of that, my final verdict on this movie is a 9 out of 10, so 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is a movie not to be missed. Now, it does have language in it. It's not for the kids. Luckily, there's no nudity. There's nothing like that in there, but it's got a lot of language, but it's appropriate for what's happening. The journey that Ruben goes on in this film is absolutely astounding. The way it was filmed and the way this movie was put together, there are definitely some awards coming in award season without question. This is the most profound film I've seen this year, and I would have to say it's something everybody should experience. So if you haven't checked it out and are unaware of this film, check out Sound of Metal exclusively on Amazon Prime. So I'd love to hear what people thought. If you've seen the film, please comment below. If you watch my video, please give it a like. It really helps. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new movie reviews go up. My channel's got all kinds of different reviews, so check it out. Lots of different things for lots of different people. I do appreciate the support, and look for the next review shortly.